Hey there, everybody. Thank you for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. In my last job, it was a corporate job, before I started this YouTube channel, I ran a business for a major manufacturer, and the goal of the business that I managed was to sell OEM replacement parts for maintenance and upgrades into the elevator industry. And in that role, several years ago at our trade show, industry trade show, I met the principal of another manufacturer based in Germany who was exhibiting at the show. And this company, their focus is automation. And in that, they also make encoders that are used in Europe, in the lift industry in Europe. And he wanted to work with someone to try to grow their business in the US. So he approached me, and I thought it was a great idea. Great guy. Hi, Robert, and Stefan, and Tom. So we started working together. And in fact, that business relationship with his company and my former employer continues to this day. And so a few weeks ago, Robert reached out to me through email, because he knows I do woodworking, and said, hey, would you be interested in making a box for his company for use in the US for trade shows, both a storage box and shipping crate for trade shows? And of course, I thought, fantastic, absolutely. So that is what this episode is about. My making of this shipping crate / storage box for this company's use in the US for trade shows. So we had some meetings. He had his people contact me. I don't have people anymore. So I talked to his people, and we came up with, well, here's the design we came up with. Check it out. Okay, so after some meetings, we got together. I went out and took a look at the things they wanted to put in the storage box, things they want to obviously store and move around for trade shows, as well as the space they have to store it in the warehouse. And this is the mock-up that I provided and that we ultimately decided to go with. And among other things, size and whatnot, there were a few things that we wanted to have in the design. Obviously, that's a way to access the inside. So a front door and a side entrance, and, handles and whatnot, and lockable casters. Pretty straightforward design. And so this project is going to be split into two parts. I thought when I started it, that I could do it all in one, but that wasn't the case. And so the way I'm breaking it up, and this is part one, obviously, is I'm doing most of the work for various reasons in my basement, and that's dealing with primarily the S4S poplar. And this is like I'm calling it the frame, the outer frame of the storage box, before I line it with 1/2-inch birch plywood. The bottom is going to be 3/4-inch Baltic birch. And I bought basically 12-foot sections of S4S poplar, and I was able to get those down into my basement. But I also needed full sheets of plywood, and that just getting those downstairs is too much. So that I left for the garage for size constraints. And also, here in the upper Midwest of the US at this time of year, it's pretty hot. So I wanted to do as much work inside as possible. However, in part two, you're going to see me sweat my butt off in the garage. So I'll save that for part two. But this is the part I'm doing in the basement, basically all this part here for the most part. And so what I'm going to start with in the shop today are these side frames. And so This episode begins with me at the chop saw cutting components to make these frames. All right. So with that, let's go back down to me at my bench for one more little comment. Okay, before we get started, one more thing. I don't usually, if you've watched my episodes know, offer up little teasers to say, hey, stay tuned until the end, blah, blah, blah. Just haven't done that. But this time I will say that. Because if you can watch to the end, I have some special guests who are going to come on, and no, it's not clones of me. They are, I would say, perhaps my youngest viewers who happen to be long time, relatively speaking, family friends who happen to be staying with us for a few days. And again, as I said, they watched the channel and wanted to make an appearance. So after many takes, we shot a little commercial that I'm going to share with you guys after getting their parents' permission. And all I will say is about this commercial is they like cookies and the Christmas ornaments that I turned on my lathe and sent them last year. So with that, let's get started. Okay, now I'm going to cut I just finished cutting the rails for the side panels. Now I'm going to cut the stiles, 48 inches. I always cut a little extra on the first one with boards like this, just so I can make sure each side is square. So it's a little over 48. I'll measure 48 exactly. And set up my stop. And I'll cut all the pieces. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do now, again, I'm working on the two sides of the crate. And the way I'm gonna construct those is I'm gonna use dominoes to attach the rails to the stiles, and I'm going to use pocket screws to clamp it. Okay, so this is one of the rails, could be top or bottom. And again, I'm going to use two dominoes to attach each rail to a stile. And then right here, drill a pocket hole to screw clamp it together. And I do that all around the perimeter for both of the sides of the crate. So the first thing I'm going to do now is cut these pocket screws, or pocket slots for the pocket screws. this slot doesn't have to be right in the center. I just want it clearly in between the two domino slots. So. So now I'm going to cut the domino slots. I've already decided where I'm going to place them, just using a marker here just so it's uniform for all of the styles. Okay, now that I've cut all the domino slots and the slots for the pocket screws, now I'm going to start putting together the two sides of the frame. And unfortunately, I don't have my nice larger assembly table, so I have to do it here on my bench. My assembly table is up in the garage for the next part of the project. So All right. One down, one to go. And next, I'm going to start working on the doors. And first up is this side door. And then finally the front door. And I'll go ahead and jump ahead and say that I don't have any footage of me making the top or back of the frame just because, it's the same construction process. And I really wanted to try to shorten this episode as much as possible. So I didn't show that, but it's made the same way as I made the side frames, obviously. All right. And so now, just as though I was making a cabinet door for any other piece of furniture, I'm going to use a story stick to measure the opening, the width of the opening. I'm going to take two measurements, top and the bottom. That'll give me the opening. I'm going to give myself 1/8 of an inch clearance on either side, just for opening and closing. And I'm using 1x4s, same width for the rails and stiles of the cabinet door all the way around. So I know that once I take this measurement, I know then to take 7 inches. I'm using 1x4s again, which are 3.5 inches wide. So I know to subtract 7 inches from that width to get the top and bottom rails of the cabinet door. Okay, so here's a piece of 1x4 for the stiles. First, do some rough cuts so I can make sure the ends are square. That's 1, 2. Now the exact measurement. So I stop and okay, so now I'm going to start assembling the door. And I'm going to show you something. I was out shopping the other day and ran into my local Rockler. And I'm not selling for Rockler, obviously. This is my own opinion, but again, with this channel, I'd like to share with you all things I find neat and useful. And this is a new product of theirs. Saw it before. I'm sure you've seen the little, squeezable glue bottles, no big deal. But, and I got this kit with these different tips on it that go on the bottle. And they have them for dowels and different types of tenon type joinery like this. And I got the one for the domino, because I use domino. And I tell you, if any of you out there have a domino joiner, this thing is fantastic. You might have seen or noticed earlier on, when I made the first frame, me fooling around with the little foam brush and whatnot, which works fine. Again, not something that you need, but if you want a neat gadget, what I love about this thing is that it seems to put just the right amount of glue. And there's, again, the different tips for the different size domino tenons into the slots quickly. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I have a couple of domino slots here I'm going to make. You just kind of stick it in there, a quick squeeze, and that's it. One other thing you have to worry about when you're using, I know dominoes like this close to the edge, the hydraulic pressure caused by the glue could cause the end to split, which you can clamp back up. But this little thing seems to put just the right amount of glue in these slots, in my opinion. Pretty easily, so just FYI. Again, I just happened to be walking through the store, saw it, and I'm like, let me try that. And I like it. Let this dry, and I'll have one more door to make for the front of the crate, and then going to do some more pre-assembly down here in my air-conditioned basement before I go out to the hot garage. Okay, so here is the door. And now what I'm going to do before I hang it and put the hinges on and put some other things on this piece of the crate, which is the right side if you're facing the front. What I want to do now is just kind of get the door centered in the opening. So I have my little laminate countertop samples from the home store that I'm using for this. Pretty good, but I already know one area that I need to straighten up. That's one more of a gap than that. Okay, looks like I need to take some off. About that much here. Well, not that much. About that to the end. And about that to that end. All right, that looks good. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and cut most of the domino slots around the perimeter of the crate to do the final assembly. So the next thing I'm going to do is start attaching the 1/2-inch birch plywood to the inside of the crate frame. And I'm going to start with this right side of the crate that has that side access door. I've gone ahead and went out to the garage and just cut a couple of pieces of the birch so I can do this part of it here in the basement. And I believe once I get done doing this, I'll be able to go out to the garage and finish cutting the 1/2-inch birch for the sides and the top, and then the 3/4-inch Baltic birch for the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is, like I said, start attaching the 1/2-inch birch to, this right side. And I just did an episode on reviewing this C18 Festool drill. And one of the parts of the kits is this attachment here that I believe is primarily like for drywall, which is how I've usually used it. But I'm actually going to use it here because, as I mentioned in the review, what I like about it is you can dial in the screw depth. And I'm going to use these screws here to attach the plywood. And the length of these screws is such that if they go much below into the flathead, below the surface of the plywood, it's going to poke through the other side, which I don't want. And I'm sure you know how this works. I mean, you can adjust the clutch on the screw, on the driver as much as you want. But given variations in the wood as you go away around, the depth they're going to drive the screw is still going to vary, no matter how you set the clutch. But with this, and I've already tested it on the other side, I know I have it set where I want, at the right depth. So now all I have to do is drive it in, not worry about it. I set the clutch at a fairly high force, so I don't have to worry about it shutting off on me. And now I can just go around and drive in the screws without worrying about the depth anymore. So another nice thing with this little attachment. Okay, so we are back now to the point where I need to install this access door, or attach the hinges to hold this access door on the right side of the crate frame. Just to show you what I've done, I've gone ahead and put the 1/2-inch birch plywood on the back of the door. And I've added some poplar here around the perimeter that'll help the door latch and close out some of these gaps, small gaps around the perimeter of the door. And around over the edges a little bit here with a 1/2-inch or whatever round over. I think it's 5/8 round over, just in case someone bumps into it getting in and out. You know, the edge of wood can be sharp sometimes. I mean, I'll ease the edges a little bit when I sand, but still I rounded the poplar over. Now let me center the door again, install the hinges, and then the door pull. I've gone ahead and marked where I want the center hole to line up for the hinges for all three. This is basically the center of the door. near the upper and lower rails. And likewise, I'm going to put this pole right here in the center. And again, since this is recessed, I have to kind of route that out to make it work. So I've measured this radius just to confirm. It's about 2.5 inches. So I've set my compass here to about a little over 1.25, just to give me a guide for what I'm going to route out. And there's this top piece with the hinges. I need to do that as well. Let's see here, about another 1/2 inch or so past the top of the circle. There. About there. Make sure it works. It should. Otherwise, why it shouldn't work. All right. Okay, now I'm going to use this small router. Have a straight bit in here to cut the recess for this latch. And I need to go about 3/8 of an inch deep. Let me set the depth. And hopefully I won't have to do a whole lot of cleanup, but we'll see. And the next thing I need to do, I need to install these latches. So I'm just going to lay them out, something that makes sense to me, but uniform. that should be that.
That's the whole thing we're trying to sell here. Wait, do you have like a website they can buy it from? No.
But I will at some point.
Yeah!
All right, take 1052.
What's up, Cookie Gang? Have you tried the new crispy marshmallow cookies from Costco? If you haven't, we're gonna tell you all about it. It's crispy, crunchy, gooey, filled with marshmallows, and delicious. Really good Christmas decorations. That was you that time. That was you. That was all you. It could have been so good.
Take another one.
What's up, Cookie Gang? Have you tried the new crispy crunchy cookie from Costco? It's filled with marshmallows. What? Take 1053.
All right.
What's up, Cookie Gang? Have you tried the new crispy marshmallow cookie from Costco? It's crispy, crunchy, gooey, filled with marshmallows, and it's delicious. Woodworking with Jerry. I'm lagging. And many more. Ah! Oh, it was so good! I literally dropped the mic! What's up, Cookie Gang? What's up, Cookie Gang? Oh, I can do it. What's up, Cookie Gang? Have you tried the new crispy marshmallow cookie from Costco? It's crispy, crunchy, gooey, filled with marshmallows, and it's delicious. Wait, did you say they're from Costco? Of course I did. Do you know what else Costco has? What? Really good Christmas decorations. Like ornaments? Do you know who makes the best ornaments?
Who?
Woodworking by Jerry. They come in all different shapes and sizes. Like Christmas trees, snowmen, bells, and many more. You know, everyone should just go watch Woodworking by Jerry. Yeah, they should. Maybe like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Yeah. So you never miss a video. Or else you'll get the drill. I'm not kidding. Anyways, thank you for watching Woodworking with Jerry. Thank you.
Awesome.